everyone, it's Renee. So I've got my neutral MAC palette to share with you. I always love watching these types of videos because I feel like most people have some kind of MAC eyeshadows, whether they have one or multiple palettes, and I always like seeing what types of eyeshadows people have in their neutral palettes. I have had my neutral palette for a few years now. I have been collecting these for a really long time. I do have a couple of other MAC eyeshadows that don't fit in this palette. I don't exactly have enough to fill an entire second palette, and to be honest, I don't think I would use another palette. So these are definitely my go-to neutral eyeshadows. They're definitely some favorites. Now there are a couple in here that are relatively new, so I haven't yet used them, and I'm always amazed that I have had these for the longest time and I haven't hit pan on any of them. On to my MAC palette. So the first thing is, the palette itself is a new palette style. The existing palettes you couldn't see through the lid, so this has the clear top lid and the eyeshadows just stick right in there. Now what I've done is I've actually put some labels on the back so I can tell what the names of the eyeshadows are, because once they're in this type of palette they are really difficult to get out. That is probably the only downside to this palette, is that they don't have any grooves to put your nails under. You have to actually press on the shadow to flip the other side of the pan upways. So like this, you can see. So you just have to make sure that you get it in the right spot, and I can never remember which part you're meant to press on, so I normally just get a tissue to do that, but that's just a heads up. So that is an overall view. I definitely have more lighter shades than I do darker shades, only because I definitely wear them a lot more often, and they're definitely colors that I reach for on a day-to-day basis, especially for makeup work looks. I have Blank Type, Rice Paper, and Grain. I have Shroom, Dazzle Light, Naked Lunch, All That Glitters, Wedge Patina, Texture, Woodwinked, and Bronze, then Sketch, Mystery, and Print. So I'm just going to go through and give you guys some swatches of all of these. So Blank Type is a gorgeous eyeshadow. It's incredibly pigmented. I love putting this on the inner corner or just over the whole lid as just a really easy light colored shade. It's incredibly soft, it blends beautifully, and it is really brightening. So Rice Paper is another lighter shade, but this one has a more shimmer to it. It is sort of like a yellow champagne color. Again, this is a color I love using for all over the lid as a quick eyeshadow look. I do find with these you do have to build the color up a little bit for it to become a bit more opaque, but it's just a really nice, easy, quick look. It's also beautiful to put on the brow bone or to sort of blend out any shades on the lid. Then Grain, this is just my absolute favorite shadow at the moment. I'm getting a whole heap of use out of it. It is similar to Rice Paper, but I feel like Grain, which is this one, Grain is a little bit less yellow and it has a little bit less shimmer in it. Now these will probably be a bit difficult to show on my hand because my hands are a little bit tanned at the moment, but I actually have Grain here on my eyes today. It's just a really beautiful neutral look. It's just a gorgeous shadow to work with. I've been using this one almost every day. So that's the first row. Okay, so onto the second row here, I've got Shroom, Dazzle Light, Naked Lunch. Again, these are shades. I mean, this Shroom is amazing. It's amazingly pigmented. It is an incredibly soft eyeshadow. A lot of people love using this either as an all-over shadow or a highlight for the inner corner or the brow bone. I believe Jaclyn Hill uses this all the time for under her brow. It's just a gorgeous white champagne shade. It has a gorgeous sheen to it. It's definitely highly pigmented, but I sometimes, for really lazy looks, I'll put this over the whole lid. Sometimes I'll put some gel liner or even just a little bit of eyeliner and smudge it out, and just super quick and easy, but this is just a beautiful eyeshadow. I then have Dazzle Light, which is very similar, but I think it has a little bit less sheen. So it's a little bit more yellow. So this one here is Dazzle Light. So it's a bit more matte. Again, it's a beautiful, beautiful shadow for all over the lid, the brow bone, or the inner corner. So you can see there with Shroom, it just has a touch more yellow, and Dazzle Light is a bit more of a white champagne color. So Naked Lunch, so we're getting into sort of a bit more warmer shades here, but again, this has a beautiful sheen. I mean, these all look incredibly similar, but on the lid, they definitely transform very differently. So Naked Lunch is a shadow I've had for a really long time. I originally bought this so that I could have a shadow that I could put all over the lid and just have it as a quick, easy, wearable makeup look. So you can slightly see it there. It's a very light champagne color, but it's a bit more of a, I wouldn't say a bronze, maybe more like a peach kind of color there. But again, a stunning color to use all over the lid. I love shadows like that, especially for work, that are just really easy go-to colors. So onto my first row of a little bit darker browns. So I've got All That Glitters, Wedge, and Patina. So All That Glitters is actually really similar to Naked Lunch, but I'd say All That Glitters is definitely more pigmented, and it definitely comes up as a lot more gold. I might just swatch Naked Lunch near it, just so you can see. I think All That Glitters is a bit darker, and Naked Lunch is sort of like a lighter version of it. And Naked Lunch to me is definitely not as pigmented as All That Glitters. There we go. So you've got All That Glitters and then Naked Lunch. All That Glitters is another shadow. I did buy that to use as an easy, quick makeup look to put all over the lid. It's also just a really nice lid color to darken up the crease with different shades. So sort of like a bit of a transition color, which is really beautiful. So Wedge, this is a color I use quite often, and I put this all over in the crease. It reminds me quite a bit of Urban Decay Naked Basics palette, or even some of the Naked palettes, just sort of the transition colors in that. It's just a perfect crease color, which I love using it for. Now, Patina is sort of like a cool brown, but it kind of reminds me a bit of like a mustard shade. Very unique. I love using this also in the crease. I also love using this all over the lid and then using some darker shades to darken up the crease, but you can see there, it just kind of has, it's like a tinge of either like a green or a mustard, especially comparing it to Wedge, but they're just some really nice shades, and they're really wonderful crease colors, both of them. Okay, next we've got Texture, Woodwinked, and Bronze. Now, all three of these, I use them for crease shades, for lid shades. I guess if I'm going for a dark look or not, but I typically always use Texture for a crease shade, especially for some of my lighter eyeshadows, and it just has a warm color to it, so it just helps sort of brighten up the look a little bit and just sort of warm it up. Woodwinked is a very hyped up shade. It is just a gorgeous, incredibly pigmented, creamy eyeshadow. Again, this is a shade I love using either in the crease or on the lid. It does beautiful at both. So that's those two. These colors go really nicely together as well, blended. Then for Bronze, again, really buttery, very creamy. And these are just shades that work so nicely. I love MAC eyeshadows for that sheer fact that they're pigmented, they're creamy, they're so nice to work with. So onto the last dark row that I have here. I've got Sketch, Mystery, and Print. Sketch, I absolutely love this shade so much. It's like a dark cranberry purpley maroon color. It's stunning, and don't be deceived by how dark it is, because this color looks stunning if you use a little bit to darken the crease up. It sort of gives that hint of a purple, and it is just absolutely beautiful. I've done a few smoky eye looks as well with this shade, and it's like that hint of purple in it is just so complimentary. Next is Mystery. Now, I love this shade. It is like a dark charcoal brown. Again, incredibly creamy. Oh, such a beautiful brown. I love it because it's like a cool tone brown as well. Gorgeous for smoky eye looks. This is also one, these are also shades really that you can smudge across the lash line as well, so over the top of an eyeliner, and they do such a beautiful job. Super flattering. And then I have Print here at the bottom. Now I haven't gotten a whole heap of use out of Print, but I typically don't like using a lot of black eyeshadows, so I sort of steer towards either browns or greys. So that's why I've got Print in here. It's just a really nice color to sort of darken up any looks if I want to, without sort of committing to a really dark black. So that's the last dark row there. So that is my Neutral MAC eyeshadow palette. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you've got any questions over the eyeshadows, please let me know. If you have any MAC eyeshadows, let me know which ones are your favorite. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will have listed down below all the eyeshadows that are in my MAC eyeshadow palette, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.